It's just an observation from all the Silent Hill fans I've been listening to and all that good stuff. We suck sometimes.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities.
So, Nintendo calls it graduating. It's when fans of a franchise have graduated. It's been about 10 to 12 years, and a new generation comes to pick up where the old generation is left off. The idea is that no matter what in a franchise, it doesn't get stale and tired because by the time the new one comes out, there'll be a new foundation to reach into and offer something to. Silent Hill's been around for 30 years. The very first Silent Hill that came out, I was in 7th grade. And playing it, it was groundbreaking. I had never seen something like this. I love Resident Evil, and I don't talk about it enough, and I should do more content on it, but I did Resident Evil, but there was something about Silent Hill that just struck a chord greater in the fear factor than Resident Evil did. Resident Evil had cool things and cool villains and things like that, but Silent Hill did something way better in that department, and it was just pure unadulterated fear. I remember staying up late at night playing the game, staring behind and watching my back, turning off all the lights, showing my friends, learning more and more about it, going into websites like Gaia Online, making avatars themed after the characters and talking about it until my fingers broke, just theorizing and things like that. That was the Silent Hill I remember. Silent Hill 2 came out. Silent Hill 3. Silent Hill 3 came out and offered a soundtrack, and I remember playing the soundtrack all day on repeat because CD players had a repeat button, and I just hit repeat and just kept listening to it. My mom even has, personal jokes about how I'd force her to watch it. She'd be sleeping on a couch or something, and I'd say, hey, look at this scene, look at this, look at this, look at this. And I would just blast it in her face. And so even today, explaining that I do a YouTube channel now and I talk about Silent Hill sometimes, or a lot of the time, my mom kind of rolls her eyes and goes, just like old times. So it's especially distressing when the new generation has taken over and it's filled with a whole bunch of different stuff. Now, this is in no way a gatekeeping video about how people should, enjoy Silent Hill or they're going to do it this way or nothing like that. It's just my observation after the longest kind of observational view of the whole landscape. The Silent Hill fanbase is such a strange and divided wasteland now. For every new Silent Hill that comes out, there's half of them hate it just because it exists, because it's a thing. And then the other half are excited and still hyped and still hoping that this is the one that's going to be good. And, it's one thing to see a Silent Hill get released or a trailer get released, but them comments, going to the comments, going to Reddit, going to any of that stuff, oh, my God. So now, present day, mind you, we have this great divide where those that, for instance, the Silent Hill 2 remake is the next Silent Hill on the chopping block. After that is the movie. Then Silent Hill F. Then Townfall. And every single person has negative or positive things to say about it, and that's fine. You're entitled to that. But it's the fan base that I get a kick out of, because we have so many different archetypes now. Say, for instance, we have the content creators. Now that the internet is prominent, content creators come back and they play all the Silent Hills or don't. And there is a good handful of people that don't, and they get spotted immediately, but they make content in Silent Hill. And this Silent Hill is not the same as the other Silent Hill that I remember. And half the time they're lying. And then there's people that do, and they just want to kind of feed that fire, that divisiveness that all the Silent Hill fans have kept kind of perpetuating since the beginning of time. Okay. And then you have the old heads, the Silent Hill fans that stopped at Silent Hill 3 or 4, and they're just like, there is no better Silent Hill. You can fuck off with all of them. They need to go away. I'm done. Fair enough. Then you have people like me in the middle. It was just I'm kind of a piece of all of it. I'm a piece of the content creator. I'm a piece of the old head. I'm a piece of the new generation. All this stuff, all culminating into one giant massive pile of whatever it is. But there have been some less than stellar excuses on why it's going to be bad, why the newest Silent Hill, whatever the Silent Hill is, why it's going to be bad. And then there's been some actual factual, hard-hitting truth as to why it's going to be bad. There are fan bases everywhere. Marvel is a good example. When a Marvel movie comes out, there's a good handful that is like, this is trash. This is trash. Everything part of it. Iron Man, Spider-Man, all of it. That's garbage. It's not the way it was supposed to be in the comics and things like that. There is a great amount of flexibility needed. There's a great amount of flexibility needed in order to enjoy what you enjoyed before. The very first thing you have to understand here is we've graduated in Konami's eyes. So having us applaud the game and say this is exactly the way it should be means nothing, because we're not even the newest generation. The newest generation of kids enjoy scary pop-ups, and they enjoy this and they enjoy that. And whatever their marketing team has said to them, because they've looked deep into our computers or spam ads or emails or what have you, and they found out what the new generation likes. They're not going to actively come back to my generation and then say, let's do all the things you enjoy and hope to God we sell the game. It's not going to happen. And I think I understood that. And when I understood that, I realized that my nostalgia does not hold the value that I thought it did. I wished it did. I really wanted it to, but it's not going to. A lot of old fans will not let go of that. A lot of old fans simply will say, all of it's bad. I'm either not buying it, or I'm going to trash talk on Facebook Messenger groups, whatever the case may be. I'm going to trash talk them for even catering to the idea of making a new one. Some think you shouldn't make a new one at all. You should just let go of Silent Hill and make some new thing if that's what the generation wants. I disagree. I think a concept, and I do say just concept, should be entertained. Beyond that, they're going to repurpose it and repackage it in any manner of way to match what the new generation wants. I can't stress this enough. The old generation, what can we give them? Number one, we're all working now. We all got kids now. So their goal is not to sell us a game that we probably won't even get to play. Hell, the only reason Silent Hill 2 Remake is going to be able to be played by me is because I'm going to be able to play the game on a vacation from my job. I'll be going live on my vacation to get this game out, because every subsequent game before and after that, I'll barely be able to touch. I've got my brother and a number of other people asking when I'm going to play a certain game, and they see me maybe once every other month. That's kind of it. I got my cat jumping around right now. Sorry. So they're not going to market to us. They're not going to market to a demographic that has to go and pay taxes and get their kids up for school. They're just not. I'm almost 40, which means I'm the last person on the list they need right now. Okay, that being said, I still want to see how the new generation handles a version of Silent Hill that otherwise they haven't been introduced to, unless they went back and played on a PS2 or an Xbox 360 or things like that. All of the fans that don't agree with the next moves of Silent Hill, they're not just, I guess the best way, they're literally not spending all their time, exploring the idea of a game. They're not deciding whether or not they would like to, you know, practice the idea of a new Silent Hill or anything like that. Instead, they're just angry. The fan base has turned angry, volatile, even poisonous, trying to get anything to happen with this demographic of fan base usually ends up resulting in a flame war on Facebook or Reddit or what have you. You know what I mean? So it's not conducive, but they don't care. Instead, they want to explain how my favorite excuse right now is woke, because this new generation loves that term so much. I'm going to put an official statement out on the term woke right now. That's the laziest and most cop-out excuse ever to not like something. You're just saying woke. Number one, if it hasn't come out yet. If it hasn't come out at all, you have no idea what it is. But for some reason, you want to call it woke. Oh, it's woke, that's why it's going to be bad. That doesn't explain anything to me. And I've had people in my comment section for the last 6 months explain that woke is the worst thing that could happen. I have no idea what that is still to this day. And if you tell me that woke is just a whole bunch of female characters or something like that and makes a story bad, or what, it means nothing. I have no idea. And based on your logic, I can go through a number of movies in the last 20 years, just call them all woke and say it's bad because of that reason. It doesn't mean anything to me. I'm looking for substance here. I'm looking for the story to be told first before I can hate it. However, there can be little intricacies that I can learn through trailers and things like that yeah, will absolutely raise a red flag for me, and I'll go, okay, man, something about that just does not sit well with me. You know what I mean? There is a just regurgitated excuse about woke, and that's why, you know, the Silent Hill 2 remake will be bad. It means nothing to me. That has told me, number one, that has told me not what you like in a Silent Hill game. That has not told me what you don't want or don't like in a Silent Hill game. There's been nothing there except you yelling, well, it's woke, that's why I'm going to ignore it. First and foremost, a number of people are going to ignore it because they're broke. Hell, the only reason I was able to buy the special edition of Silent Hill is because I have a Patreon. Shout out to everybody on my Patreon, by the way. The only reason I'm going to be able to enjoy this game is because it was paid for by fans. I could not afford it myself. So that's already a number of the fan base. And then you have the other people who can't buy a PlayStation, which I had to purchase a PlayStation on tax day just for the tax write-off because it's a part of my job, because I do this on YouTube and I get paid to do it. Like not everyone has that reasoning to get a PlayStation 5, and so they don't get a PlayStation 5, or they don't have a PC and they miss out. So you have a number of people already cut out and slighted by Konami because they can't afford or they can't put it on the current console they own. Xbox owners, I'm sorry, that's just apparently they just miss out, and that's that. Okay, fine. Even if Xbox owners miss out on everything like that, I'm willing to bet my bottom dollar that a number of these complaints from people calling it woke and garbage and this person looks like this and whatever the case may be, it's because they can't get access to the game. Exclusivity is a marketing strategy, especially for Sony. They love their exclusivity, but it only hurts the fan base. So you already have them starting off pretty angry, pretty much good to go in the war department. But then you have people pointing out, for instance, the graphics. Hey, this character looks like this character looks awful, this character, this. And I've seen a trillion memes on how weird Angela looks, or how Eddie's too fat, or how James is too handsome, or how, you know, Laura is too Laura-y, whatever the case may be. But it hasn't stopped. It's exactly the same. And the same people come in and defend it, and the same people come in and argue it over and over and over. Number one, that got old for me real fast. I couldn't even keep that up anymore. Especially reporting on Silent Hill and things like that to you guys and talking about Silent Hill. I could not spend another moment arguing and tussling with people explaining why this character looks the way they should look and things of that just there's nothing for it. There's nothing for me in there anymore. But there is something for the middle of the ground fans that liked a Silent Hill or two, and they came in and they saw this and they hated it. Fine, more power to you. And this isn't even a video imploring people to stop fighting, because it's a fan base. They will always fight. Just to kind of give you an idea of what you're looking at. I want you to see it from my perspective, and even kind of look inward on what you're doing for the fan base. Konami can look into what the fan base wants, or they can hire out and let other people do it, and the other teams will look into what the fan base wants. But if the fan base is all a bunch of snarling kids punching each other as many times as they can, it's going to be kind of hard to give us what we want. Who the hell could give us what we want? Especially in this climate, in this social media age and everything like that. Is it even possible to give us what we want? I, for instance, for Silent Hill 2, I want a modernized graphical version of Silent Hill 2 with some expansions on the lore. I need expansions on it. I need them to add more. Now, you can't normally say that, and I can't normally do that to anybody, to tell an old fan that, because the old fan will go, they gave us enough. They told us enough. There's no questions that need to be answered. I personally think there is. I'd like to know how Eddie and Laura got there. I'd like to know that road trip. I'd like things like that. You know what I mean? I'd like to see what the remaining part of Maria's plotline is. I want to see Mary hanging out into Luca Lake Hotel, just up at the top, just kind of watching, expecting. I want to follow Pyramid Head around, things like that. I want answers to these questions. Not a lot of fans do. Why? Because it shakes what they already know about the foundation they've set up. They've already got it built and solidified in their brain, and that's great. I appreciate the fact that you can hang on and hold it dear, and you're good to go. I really do. But I want more. And that is not very old head of me. That is not very nostalgic of me. I looked at a formula of something I thought was really great, like Silent Hill 1, 2, 3, and 4. I thought they were great. Now I want more. I want more added to it. I want more scenes. I want more perspectives. I want another way to look at this game that another writer can possibly provide for me. And a lot of you guys don't want that, and I can't fault you for it. All I can do is wish for it on my end. But I'm not going to expect you to follow in my path and demand the same thing. That's very unfair. But there are people that look at the game and they want it to go only one way. And when it does not go that one way, they want to go off and hand the asses to whoever said anything different. They just want to get at them, and they want to poke, and they want to say, you know what, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. Theorizing used to be a hobby in Silent Hill fan bases. We used to theorize all day. What do you think Walter meant when he said this? What do you think Maria did when she did this? What do you think James is doing whenever he's blank? It used to be heavy in theory, and there were no answered questions because we were all left in the dark, and just enough dark that we could all just back and forth and have these conversations, and it was great, and it was fun. And that's what kept me in the fan base for so long, because there were so many unanswered questions. I met my wife over Silent Hill. That's how much of a tie I have to the series. For those ever wondering why I love this series so much and things like, number 1, I like scary shit. Number 2, I like psychological horror. Number 3, it's what tied me and my wife together. It's how we met. It's how we knew each other from 15, 20, 30 years back. Like, we've known each other that long. I can't become a volatile, toxic fan anymore. I can't get in line with you guys and slam the next guy who comes up with a theory that may be wrong or is proven wrong. I want you to theorize. I want you to make up that random idea that maybe this could happen. Or, I want you to headcanon or whatever the hell they call it, or fan fiction or anything else. I want you to do that. Why? Because it keeps our franchise alive. Not only does it keep our franchise alive, but it keeps us imaginative. So our franchise doesn't turn into something cookie cutter and down an assembly line like Gears of War. Yeah, Gears of War is a solid story, straight start to finish. But that's just it. There's a start to finish. With Silent Hill, there isn't one. There is no timeline. There is no perfectly constructed plot line that ends eventually and we can close the book and go, that was good. Now we can stop. There's none of that. there's just a open-ended lorescape of just Silent Hill. And a lot of fans forget that. A lot of fans are too busy trying to argue with another fan and prove that they know more and try to prove that their, knowledge of Silent Hill is greater than thou. And it doesn't help anything and hasn't helped anything. Some of the fans even go after Masahiro Ito on Twitter, the creator of Pyramid Head. He's a creature designer for Silent Hill. And Masahiro has tried to fill in the blanks, and sometimes he's been on point, and other times he just sounds like he's trying to fill in the blanks, kind of H.K. Rowling it, you know what I mean? Just throw out some answers just so you fans can be happy. Hey, is this real or is this not real? Is this real or is this not real? And he answers them the best he can, and sometimes he flubs on it. And then other times he loses his mind on fans. He's not the leading authority on Silent Hill. He's close. He's getting there. I mean, he made Pyramid Head, so obviously he's not too far off, but we as fans need to leave Masahiro alone, because that man is so tired of talking about Silent Hill and Pyramid Head. I'm pretty certain he even jumped for the chance of doing Silent Hill 2 again, just because, number one, it was a paycheck, but number two, hopefully he can get some answers out there so people can leave him the hell alone. I can only hope. But we just bother the shit out of him. We just keep coming down on him. And half the time, we'll get into arguments, because he'll long since leave the conversation, but we'll get into arguments with him. Like, he doesn't know shit. Nah, man, that's not how the character works. That's not how the city works. That's not how... And we will argue. We will absolutely argue with one of the core creators of the creatures that you see in Silent Hill, the ones you talk about so much. Now, I could go through the trouble of telling you exactly where everything fell apart, and this is when everything went on a downward spiral. It was when they sold Team Silent to America, and then America made their own version. It was when the movies came out, maybe. It was when Downpour came out, Homecoming. It was when, the second movie came out. These are all low points for sure, but there was a time when no matter what came out, people were talking, people had a few words to say, but now it's just a ball of chaos. All the infighting and things like that. It's one thing to have memes about the game and poking fun and we all laugh, but now Silent Hill groups have memes about themselves and meme about memeing, I guess. And I see it all the time because, when I do research for a game, for any of the Silent Hill games or any game for that matter, I always go to like the group chats and the fan bases and things like that, and I have discussions with them, or I just listen in on their discussions, and it is just a mess. I have to weed through so much of people just kind of getting mad about stuff, and then other people telling them to shut up. That's it. There's no discussion anymore about what they don't like. And so people have become kind of, I don't know, jaded is the word, but they've become kind of stuck in their ways where they just go, fine, I'm just going to yell my complaint about the game out loud in the room. And then when people talk, I'm going to tell them to shut up, and I'm going to keep yelling my complaint in the room. None of it's helping. None of it at all. If this were Silent Hill 3 or 4, the fan base would have taken apart the trailer by now and dissected it into pieces and figured everything out by the time the game rolled in. Now there's absolutely zero unity, and maybe this is every fan base. Maybe this is actually like a observation about the current day and age, and this is what the new generation of gamer wants. Maybe they just want to fight with each other and think they're the best. There's a lot of people flexing the information they know about Silent Hill on other people. I go into my comments section alone. If you check any of my videos, especially ones where I theorize, are you kidding me? When I make a theory, people lose their mind. I get 90% of the comments are people coming in explaining how wrong I am and why I should just give up on the idea altogether. Why? Where's the fun in that? Let's talk more about it. Let's throw something out there. Eddie secretly is Mary. Who cares? Like, explain why. Dig as far in the hole as you can. You can't do that with Resident Evil. You ever seen somebody try to go into conspiracy theory about Resident Evil? All they can do is go, you know what, I bet you they made the virus so that they can attack a different town. I bet you they made a new kind of zombie. That's the theorizing for Resident Evil. It's very, very short and sweet. The only time they got really, really lore-based and kind of dug in was when the new ones came out and you were playing Ethan, and that was weird altogether, but it was a nice little change of pace. And you could do the same kind of theorizing you do with Silent Hill that you now can do with Resident Evil. I liked it. But that day is long gone. So then the question remains, is it too late for us? Are we just going to infight enough that finally companies just are going to ignore us completely? Our words don't mean shit to anyone because, to be fairly honest, there's so many of the noises we make, and we fight with each other. So if we can't even agree with each other, then we definitely can't collaboratively tell a company what we want. It's just going to be 10 million people explaining what they want in a game at any certain time, and that is probably the biggest reason ever for any company to ignore anything coming out of our mouths. They don't want to hear that at all. I'm not saying we got to join hands together and high five in slow motion and wait for the credits to roll. What I'm saying is there's got to be a middle ground all Silent Hill fans can come to. I believe there is. That middle ground is actually very vague and very, very obvious, and that is we just want a good Silent Hill. But from there, it just spirals out of control, and I'm watching all of us fans just unravel, absolutely unravel, trying to explain what the perfect Silent Hill is. When I've already explained to you the perfect Silent Hill, in my opinion, the perfect Silent Hill is the one that we talk about, is the one we talk about for so long and have to answer our own questions because there's so many blank spots and patches missing. That's the perfect Silent Hill. That's the Silent Hill we remember, and that's the Silent Hill from our past years, our sequels, part 1, 2, 3, 4, Origins, kinda. But this was the Silent Hill that we could get behind. I'd like to see more of those. But even if even if Konami did produce a game even similar to 1 through 4, we're so preoccupied with flexing on each other and fighting that we won't theorize anymore. We won't say what if. We won't bring up an open-ended idea we have to go bug Masahiro about. Instead, we take our own personal ideas to Masahiro and spam his inbox and yell at other fans because they're not even close to on the point because this theory is a way better theory and things like that. You know, it's crazy. It's just like, how do you expect anything good to come out of Silent Hill? I know you want good to come out of Silent Hill, but how do you expect anything good to come out of Silent Hill if you're too busy just fist fighting each other? There is a good portion of this that falls in our hands as well as a fan base, because if they ask us what we want in more than one way, they don't just go up and say, hey, how you feeling about Silent Hill? But they will listen to your words, everything you type online, every fight you get into. They see who makes the biggest stink about the biggest things, and they go, okay, we're going to go ahead and put this in the Silent Hill and figure it out. Or they will just all across the board flat out ignore all of our whiny fucking immature asses. They could very well just do that. They could just go, you know what? I'm not dying. Bloober team right now going in any message board, they have to be pooping themselves because to decipher what we want as a fan base is impossible. It's completely impossible. Do you want an old one? Do you want a new one? Do you want a sequel? Do you not want a sequel? Do you want to focus on a character that didn't exist before? Do you want to just fight with each other? Do you want to call each other, amateurs and all sorts of other things like that? It's impossible to know what we want. So Bloober team, I will say this, and this is my official word on Bloober team. Bloober team made a fun little game here and there, and they had some misses. But what they picked up is probably the most daunting task they'll ever have, hands down. Because we are the most whiny, spoiled, uncultured, and uncivilized fan base I've ever been in. And I've been in a Marvel fan base since I was born. And they're pretty bad at times. I'm just as bad in there. Make no mistake, I am not claiming to be anything above saintly when it comes to being in any of these fan bases, because I was a problem too. The only difference is I'm starting to realize just how much of a problem I was for any of the fan bases. Like, I personally, my job was to shut down anybody that thought too far outside of the box, could only focus on certain questions, or unanswered questions rather, and spent more time than not explaining how much I knew. That way it could kind of be lorded above them. And I'm adult enough to admit that. I did that. That's how I operated. And you guys can say, I don't do that. I don't do that. And that's fine. You don't have to admit it. You really don't. I'm not asking you to admit it. I'm just saying I will, because it's the first step in trying to make some sort of, like, I don't know, difference with a fan base, I guess. It may be a small step, but I'll take that small step. I can't afford to sit around and just be angry and jaded the entire time. And then finally, when Silent Hill 17 comes out, I'm like, I wish I would have enjoyed this more. You know what I mean? It's the equivalent of Freddy Krueger movies. There's so many of them that if you started getting angry and negative in the second movie, either stop watching it or get with the program. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to absolutely like everything going on, and you can legitimately say Silent Hill 2 is going to be garbage because you don't like the look and all this. So you can do that. Is it then your job to go through the fan base and absolutely try to corral people on your side, even though they've all got their own opinions? Where you're trying to corral them on your side like you're starting a revolution or something? Like, guys, listen, Mary and Maria look way weird. This is garbage. We should all boycott this game? Like, who's going to do that? Who's gonna line up to your cause? On the same token, you can give a spirited opinion about what you think about this game. You know what? I'm going to actually pass on this game because, unfortunately, it doesn't look that good. And then every topic that comes up after or image that comes up after, because it's something you're not going to buy, you just ignore it. You just go, I'm not even joining this conversation because it's not a game I'm going to buy. But you guys can't help yourself. None of y'all can. Hell, even I can't half the time. I didn't like Silent Hill Homecoming and Downpour, but anytime someone mentioned it, I made sure to get my 2 cents in, even though it didn't really matter. The game was over. It had been released. I already spent my money to buy it because I was curious and ended up fueling the machine that is Konami, but I don't know. I'm more concerned that eventually our voices won't be heard when it comes to being a fan base. And that worries me a little bit because if our voices aren't heard, then they really will pump out whatever they like or just get AI to write the entire plot line. And then we'll have to deal with whatever they decide because they damn sure couldn't talk to us first. They tried. They tried to have a nice little conversation, and we're too busy going, that kid over there makes YouTube videos on Silent Hill and doesn't know anything about Silent Hill. Don't listen to him. Well, if you have 9 million people listening to him, number one, they're going to listen to him. They're going to listen to his words because everyone else is listening to his words. It's not the best news. It's definitely not the best direction to go, but that's just how it works sometimes. Maybe this is a perspective all across the board in every fan base. Maybe it's the same. Maybe you have a fan base you're in right now that anytime you walk into a group chat or Reddit, they're just absolutely flaming each other. You know who doesn't, that I've seen though? The Sonic the Hedgehog community. Those guys, they like Sonic. I mean, I love Sonic, don't get me wrong, but they like the Sonic Reddit community. They just have good words and they show each other pictures all day and they have a good ass time. And these are older people, these are younger people, they're just there. So I've seen it. It is possible. It is completely possible to just be focused on the enjoyment of a property and not be so beaten down by it. Yeah, Konami has made some stinkers when it comes to Silent Hill, but does that necessarily mean we have to spend the rest of our waking days being upset about games that could not be, or a company that does not know how to run them? Hell, they're letting another company make a new Silent Hill now. They're letting like 4 or 5 companies do it. And they haven't been the best, but at least shows that there's an attempt to make something better out of what they have. Meanwhile, we're just sitting there with grumpy faces, like just mean mugging everybody that even walks in the room. Like, this guy directed this Silent Hill, and we're just like, that guy sucks. Like, what are we doing? I don't know. This isn't even a hot take anymore. This observation is for anybody out there trying to enjoy something. I'm sorry if at any point in time you've tried to enjoy something and I've shit on it. I'll tell you that. Because that's all this is. This is the equivalent of someone eating ice cream and you walking up and saying, I don't like that company, and slapping it out of their hand. That's all we're doing now at this point. What made this fun to be unhappy? What part did you kind of get a kick in the back of your head? You're like, I actually love doing this. What part? Because I fail to recall any memory of a good feeling after yelling or going on a tirade. I know the internet likes to be negative, and that's what draws the views and the clicks and everything like that. But you personally, do you have to be that guy? I don't know. Just like I said, just an observation. I got a lot more Silent Hill content coming with theories. I'll be doing some longer form content and stuff like that. And I'll get the same comments. I'll get people that have just obviously have no reason to focus on the positivity. And honestly, even saying focus on positivity is kind of cringy. I get it. But just take a moment to realize, the next time you see a meme of someone posting pictures of Laura's arms dragging on the ground because that is the funniest thing on the planet, and everybody else wants to come in and say this is why Blooper sucks, like, really think about what you're posting. Like, who's that for? No one's going to be like, I see it your way now, and also no one's going to be like, let's hang out with this guy, he has all the coolest takes. That's not how the internet works. You're just saying words, and people are either scrolling past it, or they've decided that you said something so annoying or offensive that they're going to respond in kind. And either way, it does nothing for anyone. I don't know. And then you miss out on opportunities to enjoy something. Or you miss out on opportunities to move on past something so you can enjoy other things. You don't want Silent Hill 2? Awesome. They got a shit ton of horror games coming out. It's October. You know it's that time for the scary games. You got content creators playing all these games, demoing it for you so you can take a look and see what you like and what you don't like. Like, there are plenty of opportunities, but you're not taking them. No one is. They're too busy going, you know what Silent Hill needs? To go back to the PlayStation 2 era and including graphics and so on and so forth. It's just, what are you even doing anymore? Anyway. I'm done giving a lecture like someone's father who's very disappointed. I miss the old Silent Hill fan base, the one I had fun with. Now there are very few, and I feel like I'm alone on a rock. And I'll still theorize with my wife, and me and her will still talk about it till the day we die, because that's how we met. I'm having fun with it. Are you even having fun with this anymore? If you guys like what you see, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. It helps me out greatly. And go to the Patreon if you have a chance. You get access to all sorts of content you don't normally see on YouTube. I appreciate you guys, and I am, as usual, going to be posting any content I damn well please on here, which includes a 90-year-old old man rant you just heard a few moments ago. But I appreciate you guys, and if you're in the comments, tell me if you agree with me, if you disagree, if you're coming from one of those places like Facebook or Reddit and you're just tired of it yourself, or I'm just being a whiny baby man. Let me know. I'm always curious. In the meantime, I'm getting the hell out of Dodge. If you need me for anything, you know where to find me. Later.